Hello, I'm Dr. Doug Mielke. I'm a cardiologist with ThedaCare. I actually grew up in Appleton. My grandfather was a physician. My father, as a physician, was a cardiologist. Actually started the group that I am now part of. I went to school, high school in Appleton. I did my undergraduate at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, medical school at University of Wisconsin-Madison, so obviously I'm a very huge Badger fan. Ended up doing additional training, internal medicine residency at the University of Colorado, and then I did my cardiology training down at the University of Oklahoma. But I've been back here since 1994, so 25 years that I've been cardiologist here in the Fox Valley area. Originally I was an interventional cardiologist, so I would do things such as angioplasty, stents. Over the last couple of years, I let the younger guys do that. I've had enough radiation, so I'm mainly just a general cardiologist now, but spend a lot of time with office patients and a lot of time working on risk factors, which I think we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about. Well, obviously, there are multiple risk factors that we look at as cardiologists when we're taking care of our heart patients. Exercise absolutely is a very important component to that. Typically, we like to see patients exercising at least 150 minutes per week. It could be aerobic activity, could be non-aerobic lifting and things, but really activity is important. It's important from childhood. Exercise, diet is obviously very key. There are a whole bunch of different diets that will be discussed. Whether it's Atkins diet or Mediterranean diet. There's a whole bunch of different diets, but when I'm really talking to patients, it really comes down to common sense. The fruits, the vegetables, the low-fat meats. It's really common sense. Now, patients that really have an interest in, no, I really want a specific diet. Nutritionists, dietitians are very helpful in that regard. They can really spend time with the patients, but in general, I think if you just use a lot of common sense, and it's got greasy, fatty, salty, that's what I tell my patients, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, and you'll do fine. But there are other things what we look at. High blood pressure, and we call high blood pressure the silent killer for good reasons. You could have a blood pressure that's 180, 190 systolic, your top number, and you're not going to feel it. You're not going to know that it's high, but your brain knows it, your heart knows it, your kidneys know it, and that's why it's a silent killer, and that's why it's important to really get your blood pressure control. So you should be checking that even as a child. The recommendations actually have continued to go down and down, and now we want blood pressure consistently under 130 over 80. It used to be a lot higher than that, and so blood pressure is very important. Patients with diabetes, sometimes they do not do a great job with their diet, or they really don't take their diabetic medications and their blood sugars run high. It can be very catastrophic, not just to the heart, but to other organ systems. And so getting your diabetes under control with the exercise and diet, and you taking your medications. Obesity, and that's really a huge problem in the United States. It's basically an epidemic starting in childhood. Really working on that goes with diet and exercise, but you got to keep your weight under control. Obesity leads to high cholesterol, leads to hypertension, leads to sleep apnea. It has a whole bunch of catastrophic long-term effects. So weight loss is very important. Cholesterol we talked about, and diet and exercise help that. But family history, patients that have a family history of heart disease are going to have high cholesterol as part of that, and it should be checked early on in childhood or early adulthood. And if markedly elevated, and you have a lot of risk factors, the things we've talked about in family history, that needs to be treated as well, and we have very good medications to help with that. Those are really kind of the major risk factors. Smoking, obviously, that's one that I forgot. That's gotten a lot better, actually. The number of people that are smoking has less and less, and there's nothing harder on blood vessels than tobacco use. And unfortunately, a lot of the younger generation now are doing some other things like vaping and the e-cigarettes and all that other stuff, which is probably not as bad as using cigarettes, but still not healthy. But smoking is obviously another modifiable risk factors. Comment on is the age that individuals should start being concerned about heart health. And again, that starts very young, and obviously that really starts with the parents. Children and young adults really kind of do their own thing, and they don't worry about consequences. So it really behooves the parents to really start, getting their kids focused on a good, heart healthy lifestyle at a young age. But if you do autopsies on infants and even babies, young adults that die for some other reason, and if you look at their coronary arteries, they already are starting to build plaque, build up in their coronary arteries, even in their younger ages. So it starts day one, and that's why it's important to really work on things that you have control of early on. And obviously the parents are very important with that initially, because they're the ones that get their kids exercising. They're the ones that feed their children, go to the grocery store, but they can teach their children that let's go shopping together. Let's look at things that we can buy and why are we buying these healthy food and not candy or Fritos or whatever, why it's important, why exercise is important. But it starts very young. And the obesity, there's a lot of data lately that's coming out with the obesity in young adults and children, and the catastrophic effects it has later on in life as far as heart attack, stroke, death. So it really starts at a young age. It's not a disease of necessarily that you don't have to pay attention till you're in your 50s or 60s or 70s. It really starts early on. I think people don't really think of the consequences, of their actions, and so we run into a lot of problems when I can talk to patients about modifiable risk factors: exercising, eating right, not smoking, losing weight. But until they really have an event, they sometimes don't get it, or they just, this isn't going to happen to me. It's usually a lot easier that once someone's had a heart attack or they've had bypass surgery, we put in a stent, or that they all of a sudden get it and they do start making some lifestyle changes. But it's frustrating when I get someone before they really had an event that we can really prevent a heart attack or a stroke, to convince them that, hey, the work is yours. I mean, I can help you, I can guide you, but the work is really yours to really a good heart healthy lifestyle. No one's perfect, and I don't expect perfection. We all are going to have pizza, or we're all going to maybe not exercise as much as we should for a period of time. But in general, if you really stick to the plan, you're going to prevent a lot of long-term cardiac problems. I think the golden rule is just moderation. Okay, we're not perfect. We're human, and I get that. And anyone, when I try to tell my patients they got to be perfect, they shut down right away. That's impossible. So I really say, you know what? You're not going to be perfect. That's okay. But really, you know what you need to do, what's going to be healthy, and do it most of the time. And I think that if they kind of do things in moderation, that's acceptable. I guess when it comes to heart disease, what I would tell patients is that you have so much control of what subsequently is going to happen to you. If you work on it at a young age and stick with it, and again, all these risk factors, the smoking, the exercise, a good diet, just a good heart health lifestyle and moderation, that that's going to do a lot more than anything a cardiologist or a doctor is going to do for you. It's going to do anything much more than a medication is going to do for you. It really comes down to making good, heart-healthy life choices. And you do that, you're way ahead of the game. You're way ahead of a lot of people. Starts early. It's not always easy, but again, if we don't expect perfection of yourself, and I certainly don't expect perfection, but you're way ahead of the game with doing that.